So the Monsterverse is about to come back to life with the Monarch series, and by the time you see this video, it might have already been released on Apple TV, so go check it out. Anyway, just to get you on track and prepare you for the show, here are 10 things you need to know before watching it. Let's get to it. Firstly, Godzilla, the king of the monsters, still is classified as a massive unidentified terrestrial organism, or a muto, and so are the other monsters, since the term Titans was only coined before the events of 2019's King of the Monsters. The term would later be attached to the Jinshin Mushi species exclusively, which are now popularly known as the Mutos, but I think they would use that term as well as monsters and creatures here in this series instead of the popular Titan nomenclature. Secondly, let's take a look at the secret organization called Monarch. This agency has a secret origin story. It was a small organization in the early years, which would start in the early 1950s under Lee Shaw, Bill Randa and Meiko. It would later be expanded with the congressional funding in 1973 to go to Skull Island on that mission, and would only grow slowly over the course of the 1980s and the 1990s. Anyway, by 2014, it will be a very well-founded entity with eyes and ears everywhere, and hence such a secret group would be thought of as a nemesis, or at least in a suspicious manner. Thirdly, so as for Kong and Skull Island, they were both only discovered in 1973, so there won't be any reference to the big ape in the earlier 1950s flashbacks, but it might make some appearance or might be mentioned in the 2014 to 15 time frame, although by the modern times there would have already been more missions to the place as per the animated series and the Birth of Kong events, and so a base of operations would have been initiated or already set up after the 2014 Muto battle. Fourthly, the Hollow Earth entry points were only speculations back in the early beginnings of Monarch. They were only theories and hypotheses during the foundation of that organization, and these portals would only be later confirmed in the events of Kong Skull Island in 1973, not in the earlier 1950s flashback, so the Hollow Earth existence itself is still only in theory and hasn't been discovered, which would only happen between the events of KOTM and GVK, and the first successful mission there would be during GVK alongside Kong himself. Okay, number 5. Next, let's see which of the many Titans have been discovered as of the modern timeline. Okay, so these would be Rodan, which was discovered in Isla de Mara in 1991, Mothra in southern China in the Yunnan province in a Temple of the Moth in 2009, Monster Zero before 2014 in Antarctica behind the Wall of Serpents. The other fan favorites like Methuselah, Scylla and Behemoth were only discovered around the year 2014 itself. The Mutos were stumbled upon in 1999, and all the other ones have vague dates attached to them. Number 6. So in the trailers you would have seen Godzilla in the ocean, in the midst of tropical islands in the Pacific. These are the Bikini Atolls, where the G-Man makes landfall in 1954, and it is the same location where we saw in the opening scenes of the first Godzilla 2014 movie, and this is him chasing the Shinomura Swarm Titan over there, lured by the US military under the directions of a young Lee Shaw, lured there to be killed by a hydrogen bomb, the Castle Bravo test. Number 7. So you should also know that humanity, as of both timelines in the 1950s and the 2014-15 modern timeline, they have absolutely no idea about the existence of these massive monsters, believing them to be only the stuff of myths and legends. When Godzilla battled the Mutos in 2014, it was the first time they had ever seen the King of the Monsters, and therefore this theme would be explored in detail in the series, especially the aftermath of discovering that humanity isn't at the top of the food chain. Number 8. So for some that don't know, dummies, Godzilla will develop the new Dosel Plates here in the series, those that were different from the 2014 version, which were sharp and jagged. This was the result of the deadly and life-threatening battle against the Muto Prime in Montana in the same year as the San Francisco event, just a few months afterwards. His old Dosel Plates were shattered by a powerful sonic screech by the Prime, which resonated with his body's internal frequency, thus destroying them, and then later they would evolve into the more maple leaf shaped ones seen in KOTM onwards. Number 9. There will be questions as well about Apex Cybernetics, the corporation behind the construction of Mechagodzilla. This entity, as a fully fledged corporation, hasn't existed yet during the time of the series, but after the events of San Francisco, Simmons, the would-be CEO of Apex and the antagonist in GVK, was an already influential person in the world, and at the time of the series, he would begin to find ways to link up with Monarch and try to kill Godzilla after the Muto battle, driving him to the long procedure of building a Robo-Gojira. By KOTM, he would have already been working with Monarch and the military, which is evident by him getting access to the Oxygen Destroyer information and building it, and also later getting the Ghidorah skulls. And number 10, lastly, the couple which was seen in KOTM, Mark Russell and Emma Russell, have already built a working prototype of the Orca device which allows people to make certain communications with other animal species like the Titans and the Mutos using their frequencies. The Orca was in fact created in 2005, and these two were approached by the secretive organization and then later funded and activated as Monarch agents in 2007. So they are already quite knowledgeable about Titans in the modern timeline. In fact, Emma Russell assisted Godzilla in his final confrontation with the Muto Prime, while Mark Russell would be in a state of depression at this time due to the loss of his son in the San Francisco battle. So those are the 10 things you need to know before watching Monarch: The Legacy of Monsters. Anyway, check out our channel for other videos, like, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care, fam.